Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Legacy Leaders. Today, I am joined by Rachel Smith from Rachel Smith Coaching. Want her to tell you her story, and we're going to get a chance to talk about some of the cool things that coaches like to talk about between each other and what we want our clientele to know. But most importantly, we're going to talk about challenges and lessons learned. So, before we get into it, I'm going to turn the microphone and the camera over to you, Rachel. Introduce yourself. Tell us what you do, why you're here, how good you are at what you do. Let's do a little bit of promotion for Rachel Smith.
All right, great. Well, Scott, thank you again so much for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity and love what you're doing too. But no, I'm Rachel Smith. I'm the founder of Rachel Smith Coaching. I help leaders, executives, entrepreneurs, impact-driven individuals lead from a space of clarity instead of the pressure that we get in the day-to-day grind of executive leadership.
Mhm.
I've spent 25 years in leadership, and I had a moment about 10 years ago where the tides turned, had a burnout, and made a phone call to a psychic and started deep diving into understanding personal professional development, studied with some of the best. And about a few months ago, I actually retired from the corporate world to take all of this expertise that I learned and combine it into my intuitive instinct as an empath to provide coaching, coaching for professionals, for personal coaching, and also corporate consulting. So I'm really excited to be doing that and helping others achieve their dreams.
Awesome. I love the idea that you help people achieve their dreams because that's exactly what we do, right? We're trying to help people get from where they are to where they want to be in the most effective and most rewarding way. So I appreciate what you do. So thank you for spending some time with us today. I am curious about your path and how you went from the corporate world into entrepreneurship and how that kind of translates to the work you do with your clientele. So let's talk a little bit about that methodology or that mindset switch that you had to go from. I have my 9 to 5. I'm grinding away. Somebody's always got some requirement or they've got something that they're holding over my head to now. All right, this is all on you. This is all a different world, right?
Is
And you have a bunch of clients that you're trying to teach how to be a business person or a better business person yourself. So how do you mold your past history into what you currently do?
That's a great question. Well, I think it goes back a little bit further when I was in college. And it started when, excuse me, I needed a job before I graduated. I had a plan, and someone introduced me to telemarketing. And I started doing market research surveys on the side as a part-time job that was very flexible. And when I graduated college, looking for my real job, quote unquote, I ended up staying in telemarketing. And shortly after, I started getting promoted. And then I became a supervisor over a team of call center representatives. And then I became a shift supervisor and a manager of a site, and then director of lots of sites. And most recently, I was the director of global operations for an international IT services company where I had thousands under my
Mhm.
lead. And so I have to say, coaching really started for me long, long ago. However, in terms of the shift, it certainly is a different mindset. What I've learned throughout my career and into what I'm doing now is that we really need to trust ourselves more, and really start to lead from a place of clarity and alignment, which is often lost in this
Yeah.
day to day, the grind, the busyness of it all. But I also know that when I'm leading with alignment and fulfilling what my calling is, what my purpose is, and that's to be a coach to others, to help others achieve the same, there is an adjustment from the retirement of the corporate world into
Mhm.
creating my own business. A lot of it has to come from a place of discipline, but again, leading from alignment and going back to why I am here to do what I'm to do. So lots of adjustments, but it's been a great journey so far, and I'm really excited to be launching this year. A lot of great things are happening. Came from a meeting today, people asking questions, and it's
Yeah.
great to. I'm inspired by others. It's great to be motivated by others when they're so inspired and sharing their stories. It's a place of connection and relationship. So, and it's so important to trust ourselves and where we're at, and to know that we're exactly where we need to be in the moment we are. And then to surround yourselves with really great coaches and the people that teach you the best.
I love this. You made a comment about where we are in the moment. So it's good to be in the moment. I want to go back real quick because I love the conversation that you started out with. You did well enough to get promoted. You did well enough to get promoted again. You did well enough to get promoted again. And I'm curious, that mindset of the corporate world where I wouldn't say it's a trap, but it tends to be a trap because your true calling didn't get realized until later on. What if you didn't get promoted? What if you didn't have the opportunity to go one step above? Would you have left earlier? I ask the question because there's a number of people that wait too long to start their business, right? They're really good at something, or they have a really good technical skill and they don't know how to do the business side. So they kind of wait for it. But every time they perform in their corporate job, they get promoted. So they think, oh, wow, things are great. I'm going to stay, right? So how did you like walk those steps all the way up to a certain point? You've got a global presence and like, I just don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah,
Right? It's an interesting mind shift.
it is a mind shift. I think every journey is different, and it's not a cookie cutter situation.
Mhm.
And we all have to navigate our journeys, in my opinion, the way the universe calls us to. From my perspective, for whatever reason, I look back now, I wouldn't change anything because I learned so much through that process. For me, the universe was saying, you still have so much to learn,
Mhm.
as I look back now. I have to say, when the shift happened, it came from a place of, I've been working so hard to help other people achieve their dreams, which I still do to some
Yeah.
degree. But I also, helping other people make a lot of money, help a lot of people do the things that they want me to do, being somewhat of a people pleaser, and really not putting myself first. And I learned that putting yourself first isn't so much, it's not selfish. Some people may have that perspective. But when you put yourself first and you start to realize why we're here to do what we're to do,
Mhm.
you're actually serving so much more. You're helping so many more people. And the impact, the ripple effect of it is uh, immeasurable. So when I made that switch for me, it was almost like I have to explain it as a light switch. That's what I tell people. It was a light
Yeah.
switch, such this burnout moment. And contacting that psychic and having that meeting really opened my eyes to how I was doing a disservice to myself. But and learning to trust myself, and reaching out
Right.
to people to learn and to develop. And I have to say that when you are looking to do something that's brand new, maybe outside your comfort zone, you're gonna be scared. And if you're
Sure.
not scared, you're not dreaming big enough. But I will also say there are so many people who want to help you succeed. Once you start deep diving into whatever it is that you're looking to do, you start to identify the people who are in that field, who are in that industry. You start to identify those locally around you. It doesn't even have to be on the biggest scale. Start getting yourself around those people and ask for help. Ask, how did you
Yeah.
do that? Set up a meeting, have a lunch. Ask, what books do you read? Ask, what should I know, that you wish you would have known when you started? And really just start talking to people. It's
Yeah.
magical to know, there are so many people out there who really want to help.
No, I love the idea of learning and being a better version of yourself. And the one thing I want to just go back to because I think you made a really good point. Once you fix yourself and you are settled into your ownership, accountability, and responsibility of self,
Mhm.
you're so much better equipped to go help others that the result of helping others is exponentially better than if you were not in a position to help yourself and fix yourself first. And it's an interesting conversation to have with business owners and leaders or executives that are trying to be taught how to be better because they recognize I can do much more when I'm ready than trying to do the things I know I need to do when I'm not prepared to do it. So I need help. So it's like, help me help my people. So let's
Yes.
get to work. And those are the business leaders that go far. Those are the ones that establish a really good business. They have a really good vision and mission for what they want to accomplish, and they allow people to follow them in such a way that they lead from the forward, they lead from behind. They're constantly leading their people to do the right things because they know they've been equipped to be a better leader. And that's what they've wanted their whole time, trying to work through this stuff with a coach or just doing it on their own. And one of the things that is a constant that most successful people do is learning. It's a constant that everybody that is looking to be better, they're always trying to learn something new. And I
Absolutely.
think that, for folks like ourselves, I push myself as, a fractional leadership expert where through driven education and performance metrics, I can help you be a better leader. But it starts with education. And then we talk about how you perform better. So I always find it interesting that people that want to be successful are interested in learning. And those that are stuck have this mentality of, well, that's how we've always done it.
Yes.
And things, from a corporate world to your own, things happen and transition so quickly. There's no way you can keep your thumb on it and say, I know what's going on. You constantly have to be changing your own mindset or learning within your own mindset to get prepared for what's next.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to your point, learning and being vulnerable to know to being vulnerable is key here because some think leadership or being in a leadership position is having to know it all. But the strongest leaders and the best leaders are those who know they don't.
Yeah.
And they're the ones who raise their hand and ask the questions or surround themselves with the best team members so they can identify strengths and weaknesses and use those to their advantage to create a core, solid leadership
Mhm.
team and support each other within those strengths and weaknesses. You don't have to know it all. And that's I think that's where a lot of folks get stuck, right? They're afraid to ask the question. I'm the leader, so I should know the answer. Best leaders speak last. Simon Sinek said that.
Yeah.
So, I think being okay to raise your hand and say, I don't have all the answers, but let's work through it together as a team, and get there.
Yeah. I think one of the better, more strong conversations I had with somebody about leadership was their comment was, I know what I know, but more importantly, I know what I don't know. And the
Yes,
most important thing of that is I know who to go to that does know that to make me smarter.
that's right.
That's a strong leader. I know what I don't know, or I know what I know, but I don't know, or I know what I don't know, and I have to go find somebody to help me. That person is going to go far because they're uncomfortable being comfortable in not knowing something, so they go find somebody to help them. And
That's
when you
right.
do that, you open the gate for somebody else to step in and give you a suggestion. And because you're open to it, it might be the best suggestion you've ever had. And if you were closed off because you already know that, you're not going to pay attention to it. But since you're an open-minded person and you know you don't know it, by God, let's just let somebody talk to me. I can figure something out by giving somebody the opportunity to tell me something I don't know. It's crazy. You made a comment about vulnerability. I would say ego and or humility is one of the bigger challenges that we face as coaches because there's people that just don't want to step out of that. Well, I'm the boss, I know, as opposed to, well, I want to be a better boss. What don't I know?
hmm
I think it's
I
an interesting thing.
I absolutely agree. Ego, I've had my fair share, in leadership with ego, and it is a dangerous place when the leader is not open to listening to their team or being that person that sends down the orders and doesn't have any room for flexibility or understanding, who doesn't
Yeah.
explain the why behind it, do it because I say, because I'm the boss. They don't usually work out in my.
No. Well, they may have a really stellar rise to fame, but a very short demise because they're just not prepared or geared, equipped to take people to the next level. One of the biggest challenges I have in my career is working with a supervisor or a manager that every idea is their idea, regardless of who it came from.
Mhm.
So eventually, over time, nobody wants to speak up in a meeting. Nobody wants to say anything at the fear of one, my idea is going to get stolen, or if they don't like my idea, I'm going to get ridiculed for it. So I'm just going to sit and wait until they tell me what to do. And you
Mhm.
have a very dull, non-motivated organization that just stumbles along because they're not getting any new ideas or fresh thought processes. So I love the idea of a leader should be away from ego, should have vulnerability, and know what they don't know and who to go find to help them. So thank you for the conversation. Getting back,
Absolutely.
yeah, getting back to you and what you think are some of the bigger lessons or challenges that people will go through, and how do you fix those? So I would ask you the question, Rachel, what is something that you're probably most proud of that you've had to overcome as a business owner?
I think for me is recognizing that I don't have to do it all. And I know we just kind of went there. But you don't have to do it all. You don't have to boil the ocean to be successful. You just have to start. You just have to put one
Mhm.
step in front of the other. You don't have to have every single thing, printed out or content built or products ready to go, whatever the case may be. You just have to start.
Yeah.
And I would say that was probably my stopping point for me and a lesson learned. I thought I had to have everything spelled out and everything ready to go, and it was perfect and marketable and looked beautiful
Hmm.
and appeasing to the eye and attractive to bring people in and have all these sales funnels, all these things. And
Yeah.
what I've learned is you just need to be you. You just need to talk with people. You need to create relationships by just being and not
Hmm.
so much put all this fancy stuff in front of you. So you don't have to have the fancy stuff. You just
Well, no, that's brilliant because one of the things I've heard this before, and it's going to come out weird, but let me say this, right?
okay.
Somebody once told me, if you can figure out authenticity and fake it, you'll be really successful. My response was, why would I fake ever being authentic? I just want to be myself. And the point they were making was, once you get to be your authentic self, you don't have to fake it anymore. So I take this authenticity play a little deeper. And I think if you're transparent with your customer base, you're transparent with your team, the people you work with every day, and you tell them, this is why we're here. This is what we do. This is who we do it for. This is the price we offer and we ask for. Here's our value proposition. And you tell people straight up, then the transaction of my skill set, knowledge, experience, and product, if I have one, is going to be given to you in exchange for money. That is our authentic, really clean cut contractual obligation. But when we go deeper into that relationship, we talk about now customer experience. We talk about how people like to be dealt with and how they feel when you're done dealing with them. It's that additional thing that allows you to be really successful as a business. But once you're authentic and you say straight up, for this amount of money you're going to give me, I'm going to give you in return these things. Okay, it's
Mhm.
a great business relationship that can turn into any other kind of relationship because authentically you know exactly surface and deep level what we're doing right now because I'm going to pay for something I get in return. And I'm going to do something in return for getting paid. That's fine. Don't don't fall down on your value proposition. Don't fall down on what you offer because somebody else may be offering it for a lower price. You offer what you offer because that's who you are authentically. What are your
Yes.
thoughts on that?
I love how you said value based. I
Yeah.
think ensuring our values are aligned to what we're doing is key and essential. And that's where the authenticity comes from. Those natural relationships will be born organically because your values align. So
Yeah.
the more authentic you can be, the better the relationship will be. But yes, absolutely being upfront and knowing again where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, and not being afraid to say, I don't do that, but I can help you here.
Yeah.
Again, you don't have to do it all. You don't have to be the expert in everything. You just have to lead and be you. And that's what they're going to buy, right? They're going to buy you. And so values are key in everything. And that to me, I think is also another lesson learned because I was working in organizations with some leaders who I didn't necessarily align with from a value perspective. And that was tough.
Yeah.
That was really, really tough. And that was one thing I said when I launched my business, values need to be aligned. So not every client will align to
Mhm.
my values, and that's okay. And that's okay. So yeah, I love how you phrase that, and I love that authenticity piece. It truly is essential.
I appreciate that. And one of the things you said that I really liked was let's be upfront about our strengths and our voids, but I can dot dot dot. Right.
Yes.
I may not. This is one of the things I've said this all the time too is I don't know, but let me find out. What a
Mhm.
great answer. Or
Mhm.
that's a really good question. Let me think about that for a second. You know what? Give me 24 hours. I'll get back to you. But I love what you're thinking. Let me think about it. That is
Right.
so much better than trying to bullshit somebody and do what you think they want to hear and then not being authentic about it because you're eventually going to get caught in a lie, right?
Yes. Yes.
We don't want that. So be
Guessing is
authentic.
yes. I always say guessing is dangerous. Don't try to guess. Never try to guess. If you know it, say it. If you don't,
Yeah.
it's okay. You don't. Don't guess.
And I would suggest I follow that. If you're going to guess, tell people I'm guessing. I'm
Yes.
doing my very best right now to critically think. So, given what you told me, okay, bump, bump, I'm following these steps. Tell me if I'm wrong, but this is where I'm going with it. If we agree, great. If not, let's sit on it, right? Let's think about this for a little bit. But I love the idea of being more authentic with your answer than telling somebody they clearly know you don't know what you're talking about, but you're just
Oh,
going to say it.
absolutely. Yes.
Yeah,
It's well, they just respect you so much more for it.
yeah.
And when you share these vulnerabilities of where you're not necessarily strong, you connect better and your team trusts you more. Executives will have much more of a following. People will align to your vision and mission of the organization because they're going to believe in you. They relate more to you. You
Mhm.
look at titles, and I think I remind people of this too. Titles are just a title. They're still a person. They're still human. They still have emotions, and we are connected deeply to one another, and there's energy there. So just knowing you're talking to another person, not a title, it can really be a game changer.
Yeah, I agree with that. The title seems to get really, it's more political in nature in the corporate world than it is in the small business world. But what I find interesting, and I have this exercise when I talk to people about whose job is more important, the CEO or the janitor? And everybody, thinks and they haw taw for a while because nobody wants to say it. And eventually, so the CEO is so much more important. And then I say, what if the janitor didn't do his job for a week? The
Mhm.
conference room looks like crap. There's dust and dirt everywhere. What kind of presence is the CEO going to have when he's entertaining shareholders or clients or trying to hire a brand new employee? What's it look like? Probably not very good and probably not going to be very successful for that CEO. But I
Mhm.
turn it around. What if the CEO doesn't do his job? Well, the janitor doesn't have anything to do. So if you're looking at the balance of who's more important, they're not any more important than the other one. It's the contribution they have to the overall business that is the most important thing you need to realize. And as a CEO, as soon as you realize that you're not any more important than anybody else, you can take off as a CEO because you treat people that way. I treat everybody the same because they all contribute differently, but they all have value to my organization. And once you see that light upon yonder window moment when clients see this, it's like, oh, yeah. Okay, I get it now. I never thought of it that way. And it's
Mhm.
okay because what we built into our society, this hierarchy way of looking at who's somebody's boss, but we never really pay attention to who's the human being that holds that role. And what
Mhm.
I want to do is change people's mindset from who's more important to who contributes. And when you think about it that way, man, it's
Yes.
a much different way of looking at business. Like, how do you
Power,
contribute,
yeah.
right?
Powerful way.
Good stuff. All right, we've got a lot of stuff on the table. I have taken so many notes, so thank you for that.
Well, you're welcome.
Um, no, it's good. When you think about the one lesson that you think, man, if I could just em embed this lesson into somebody's brain, what would that lesson be from a business owner to business owner perspective?
Trust your gut.
Okay.
Trust your gut. You've got to be able to trust your gut and do it from a place of service to others, from a servant leadership perspective, and know
Yeah.
that. your contribution matters. Again, not doing the things that we do for others, do it for yourself because in turn you're doing it for others.
I honestly, Rich, I love that aspect of your mindset is the better I am at being me, I can serve other people better because I'm prepared for it. And
Yes.
it's tough to serve others when when your house isn't in order, it's really tough to go serve others.
Mhm.
So that is a really strong comment. I appreciate it. The
Well,
um the things that you do on a daily basis, what would you say is probably the number one challenge you deal with consistently throughout your customer base?
people wanting to be right.
Okay.
I think that when I'm working with clients, I deep dive. I have a method that I developed called the view method. As a part of that, we look at the whole perspective, the whole situation. And I'm thinking of one client in particular. She had some issues struggling with a boss of hers and how to connect with him from a different level so he would listen to her and essentially so she would get what she wanted.
Yeah.
So, once we start doing the coaching and looking at it from different perspectives, understanding that everybody comes from a place before they're here in front of you and trying to be open to maybe their journey or their experiences in life or their traumas for that matter as to why
Hmm.
they got to where they are. But I think that's one thing that people just want to be right. And I just, I want it to go my way. And in leadership, you can't always do that. But from a new business perspective, you also have to remember that from a customer base too. Um, yes, customers are always right. I don't know if I
Hmm.
necessarily believe that quote, but I think there's a way to serve it for sure. Yeah, and it goes always. Just knowing that it's okay and taking a step back and understanding where people are coming from is essential. That's where you're going to connect
And
with people.
and that's the empath in you, right? That's understanding that this is more than just me standing here either being yelled at or yelling. There's
Yes.
more than that. So what's behind it? And I think um, having an empathetic ear and an empathetic heart allows a leader to really absorb not the pain, but absorb the situation for what it is and not use it as a weapon, right?
Yes.
That is empathy with control and emotional intelligence and the ability to let people feel as if they're taken care of, they're being heard, and they have the opportunity to take care of things on their own because you give them that wide berth to do the things necessary to do it. Good leaders always allow their people to have the authority to make decisions, the autonomy to go do the work, right? The
Yep.
accountability for the outcome. And when it's all done, they appreciate the contributions that people give them. So if you can frame a leader's mindset into those four A's, I like to call, man, you
Mhm.
have a team that is really wanting to work as hard as they can for you because they know I get left alone. I have the authority to do what I want to do. And when I'm done, I'm the one that gets to stand up and say, we accomplished this as a team. And I get the appreciation. If you
Love it.
could do that, if you could do that as a leader, oh, you release the hounds to go have their fun, right? They really contribute and do well for you.
Yes.
Um, so there's a number of different styles, a number of different ways that people like to communicate. I'm curious, what is it that you think is a communication style that has been the most effective in not only your own personal life or professional life, but the way you teach others to be better at communicating?
It's a great question. Um, Communication style for me, I don't know how to really put this. I prefer to be one to one and face to face communication. I think that after working remotely for so many years, there is that lost piece of that, just the interpersonal relationships that you create
Yep.
when you're in a setting. But um, I think one-on-one communication is essential, and I think immediate communication is
Okay.
key, not
Yep.
sitting on problems. When we tend to sit on problems, and this goes back to a lot of people I've coached with their concerns or issues, when you sit on it, you tend to overthink situations, maybe create scenarios that don't really exist. And when you start to peel back those layers and you start to realize, oh, well, maybe that really wasn't a problem and I just exacerbated it because I sat on it and started thinking about all of the what ifs or, what the worst case scenarios, right?
Right.
Um, but I think Zoom is powerful because I've had to do it for so many years, and I think being on camera is key. And
It's definitely evolved over the years, right?
it has evolved. It is a new
Yeah.
way of doing business. People are doing that. It's it's almost now to meet in person is unusual. And they're like,
Oh,
oh, so like,
it's it's almost a treat too, right? Because you get a chance to see somebody and sit down and shake a hand and actually see body language and all that. I think that it's definitely changed over the years. One of the things I like what you said is immediate communication, because as a leader, good news travels fast. Awesome. Tell me all the good stuff first. But if bad news doesn't travel twice as fast as good news, we are in trouble. I need to know the bad stuff first. That way we can handle it, right? I
absolutely.
honestly think about it this way, Rachel. If you were to tell me good news today or tell me good news 3 days from now, it's not going to change, right?
Mhm.
I'll be happier sooner. I get that. But if you were to wait 3 days to tell me bad news, and you just wasted 3 days, we could have solved that problem, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So many people are afraid to speak up or say something, right, when it's
Mhm.
not going the way they expect it to, or maybe they're not going to achieve something. And I think adding one more piece to this, embracing failure
Yeah.
without repercussion in your team. Now, obviously, there are certain levels of that, but being lending a hand and being open to
Yeah.
that situation and embracing failure, that's where we learn, right? We learn in our failures. So
Yes.
allowing the team to fail and own it, and even
And
sometimes there are situations where it's like you want to step in and almost help so the failure doesn't come, but depending on what it is, again, sometimes just stepping back and letting them do what they need to do to learn is better. And
yeah.
so I've had to figure out that balance over the years too, where, I want to step in. I don't want anyone to fail. I want to be the best and,
Yeah.
and number one. I have lots of awards on my bookshelf, but I can tell you they didn't necessarily teach me as much as the failures did.
Right.
So,
And what's interesting too, as a coach, you don't want to see somebody fail, but it's almost like, this is the third time I've seen you do this. At what point are you going to fix it? So, or fix yourself. I got to let you fail. And then
yep,
afterwards, I'm going to go back and tell you what went wrong. That's
yes.
interesting. I like that perspective. All right,
Hmm.
final question for you.
Okay.
I'm going to put you in a time machine
Okay.
and send you back and find the 18-year-old Rachel.
Okay.
What do you two sit down on a park bench and talk about?
Hmm. Wow, that's great. There's so many things.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about coming to live my purpose when
Love
I
it.
did. We're going to talk about failures. We're going to talk about, that's a tough one too. Had some tough times in my life too. Again, we're all human. So we're going to talk through some of those things. We're going to talk about how every single person in this world contributes and how we are all valuable and we are all worth something. Everyone is enough. You have enough. You have exactly what you need. God in the universe puts in you exactly what you need, and you don't need anything more. And to just be you and trust yourself. That's what I'm going to talk about.
I love it. No, that those are all unbelievable sentiments that a young 18-year-old would really need to know. And
Mhm.
if they knew it when they were 18, imagine what they would be like when they're 30, when they're 40, when they're 50, right?
Yeah.
That's why I think this is such an interesting community that we're building is I want people to see the opportunity of what is right in front of them and not pay so much attention to the failures, or as I like to say, the lessons. But let's look forward because it's such a great opportunity to see what's possible. So thank you for sharing your time with us today. This has been great.
Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, and I told you half an hour goes really fast, doesn't it?
It does. I can't even believe it.
Yeah, it goes really fast. But all the information that you need to get in touch with Rachel will be in the description down below. And Rachel, any final words?
Just thank you again. And I did want to share, if I didn't send the invite out to you before, Scott, I'm speaking at TEDx Columbiana in September, so I'd love to see you there.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much. Awesome news. I will do my very best to attend. Thank you, everybody, for paying attention. We'll see you all in the next episode of The Legacy Leaders.